following video is brought to you by the Boston Sports Entertainment Network. Please consider liking and subscribing for more Boston sports content.
The red, white, and blue. I can't lose with the red, white, and blue. My whole crew is the red, white, and blue. I represent the stars and stripes. I am a patriot, a true American. I am a champion, yes, and that's on everything. I will protect my home. I will defend, fighting tooth and nail to the bitter end. I don't play to lose, nah, I play to win. Rain, sleet, or snow in the wingland. What? Let me say it again. I play to win. What it is tradition. I'm in the game, playing like Brady. 10 soldiers deep in the field, no Navy. Riding for my soldiers and they riding for me. No matter where I touch down, it's a TD. 2 hands up, yep. Field goal.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Pat's Nation Nightly. My name is Zach Ventola, joined as always by Ben Belford Peltzman. Ben, it's a great week. Combine just wrapped up, kind of in the middle now of between the combine, free agency, and eventually the draft. But before we get into all the combine chatter, how are you doing today?
Good, fantastic. Always doing good. We're about to get started with free agency. Next Monday starting. Some rumors are already floating around with the Patriots and a potential trade at wide receiver. But before we can get to any of that, let's talk about the NFL Combine and the NFL Draft. The Combine just ended yesterday after a week in Indianapolis. Not a whole lot of surprises, I would say, with numbers-wise, measurements-wise. We'll get into a few surprising things as the show goes on. But I think there wasn't anyone who underperformed significantly or overperformed significantly, unless you have something to change to that.
I mean, I'd give one name at the very least, even though he did have an elite 3-cone drill. Still, Tez Johnson, you can't be running a 4.5 at
154 pounds. Yeah, that was
that's
that's valid. That's completely valid. I was thinking more the bigger names than Tez Johnson.
Sure, yeah.
I genuinely don't think I've oversaid it. I don't think Tez Johnson is getting drafted before the 6th or 7th round. I just really don't see a team drafting a receiver like that. Like think how small Tyquan Thornton is, and he's what, 180?
Yeah, probably.
Around
I can look it up, but yeah, something around that
well,
would be my guess.
He's put on 15-20 pounds.
He's taller too, to be fair.
Oh, yeah, no, to be fair, for sure. But Zach, I'll let you kick it off with your first thoughts. I know you have some with the tackles, specifically Will Campbell at the Combine, so you can kick it off there, and then we will go from there.
Yeah. Before that, going back to Thornton, because I do have the numbers now, he's listed at 6'2", 180 to 185. He also, as you said, he's put on a lot of muscle since the time he was drafted. And, of course, he ran a 4.28 40-yard dash. So, big difference between a 6'2", 180-pound guy and who's running a 4.28 and a 5'9", 155-pound guy who's running a 4.55-ish. But Ben, I'm going to go straight into it. Unless Travis Hunter is there at 4, which let me preface it by saying Abdul Carter is a lock to go top 3. Or at the very least, in my mind, he is. After that, Cam Ward, I would say, is also a lock to go top 3. And then Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter, for me, are 50-50 to go top 3. If Travis Hunter isn't there, I don't know that there is a single player in this year's draft who is worth taking with the 4th overall pick. And I know it's not that straightforward. I know that somebody's going to have to get taken with the 4th overall pick. You're not just going to forego your pick. But I don't know that there's anyone who's worth the true value of number 4. When you look at Mason Graham, for example, and there's no such thing as a perfect prospect, but Mason Graham's huge, what made him different was he was listed at 320 pounds and he moved like he's 295. And then he gets to the combine and he weighs in at 295. Turns out, realistically, he was moving like he's 295 because he's 295. So, still, he's a good player, right? Don't get me wrong. He's still a player I would take in the top 10 and I would consider taking at 4, but is the value really there? Likely not, because what you thought made him such a special player, it ends up not being true. It ends up that he is a small guy moving like a small guy and not a big guy moving like a small guy. And then you look at Will Campbell, and this is the biggest thing for me. We all knew headed into the combine that he was going to measure in with short arms. Didn't know how short, but it would be short. Whether it is right at that or whether it was going to be right at that 33-inch threshold, or whether it would be maybe 32 and 7/8. I think that was the betting favorite, if you want to put it that way. People expected 32 and 7/8. Comes in and he's 32 and 5/8. Okay, that's not great. But maybe you can make it work. I want to give a shout out to Matt St. Jean for pointing this out. A lot of guys who have these short arm lengths, such as Alaric Jackson of the Rams, who was seen as a potential target in free agency for the Patriots, and then he got extended by the Rams for right around $20 million a year. Great player, 32.5-inch arms, slightly smaller than Will Campbell, an eighth of an inch smaller. Some of these guys, like Alaric Jackson, are able to compensate for the short arms with a long wingspan because they have a wide body. Alaric Jackson, again, arms an eighth of an inch shorter than Will Campbell. Wingspan, 5 inches and 5/8 longer than Will Campbell. You can look at Peter Skoronski of the Titans, drafted by Tennessee in the top 10 while Vrabel was there. Skoronski was drafted as a tackle, had 32.25-inch arms, drafted as a tackle, and then ended up being kicked inside to guard, I believe due to an injury, which then kind of left a hole at guard, and that's where he ended up being plugged in. Again, played tackle in college, was drafted to be a tackle, didn't end up being one in the NFL, 32.25-inch arms. But his wingspan is more than 2 inches greater than Will Campbell's. He has a 79.5-inch wingspan. So when you look at these guys who have the short arms, they're typically not as bad of a build still as Will Campbell because his arms are somewhat below that threshold. And his wingspan is quite literally historically bad. And I don't have the exact percentile on it. I was unable to find that. But I was looking at, I believe the website is mockdraftables.com, and they have information on measurements going back to 1999. And it's a little bit spotty. It's not perfect. There are a lot of players missing, a lot of data missing, but it still gives you an idea of where players are in terms of their measurements, their testing, etc. I searched by offensive tackles, wingspan, shortest to longest. And the shortest wingspan that they had listed on their website was still longer than Will Campbell's. It was 77 3/4. Campbell's a 77 3/8. That's bad. There's no other way to put it. So those are the two guys who are really seen as potential blue chip talents to take at number 4. And then they get to the combine and all of that magic kind of wears off. There's not much of a reason for them to be worth picks that high. I'm sorry for the 5-minute rant.
No,
I
needed you to talk like that for a bit because I have been hearing a lot of rumors in the past couple of hours. I know Patriots Twitter, there's a Twitter account, I think Caleb Ellis posted something out, but I went to check on his report that the Patriots are aggressively pursuing Brandon Ayuk, and although Ayuk, I couldn't confirm whether Ayuk was the receiver. I did talk to someone, and they could confirm that the Patriots are trying or targeting a specific wide receiver aggressively with these trade talks. It's so hard to get information out of these people because they're so sensitive, and these trade talks are so closed in. But I was told that the Patriots are waiting on better compensation on the return, and that it does not involve the Patriots' fourth overall pick, which I think anyone could have assumed, but
Yeah.
it's still important to put out there. Yeah, I don't think you're trading a fourth overall pick for one of the receivers out there.
Unless
My
it's
mind,
Jamar Chase, right? But that's
yeah,
not happening.
my mind is instantly going to a guy like Brandon Ayuk or T. Higgins. T. Higgins got
Yep.
tagged today, but that does not mean a trade and tag can't happen, or a tag and
Tag and trade.
trade.
Yep.
But it is important to note that Brandon Ayuk is coming off an ACL injury, which means that I would expect that the Patriots wouldn't be giving up more than a fourth round pick for someone like Ayuk.
It
Do
would
you
be
agree?
pretty insignificant. I think I saw
Even like a six, maybe. And like I think
I
before
if
you
I
go check, where
remember,
you
oh
go.
yeah, go, if just real quick, if I remember correctly, I think it was Andrew De Silva posted this, and I agree with it. Kendrick Bourne in a fourth. Like I think that's that
Whoa, really for Ayuk?
that may even be too much, right?
That's I was just
But
about to say. I think that's way
like
too much.
yeah, but look, point is, it's not going to be much. I mean,
Honestly,
maybe it's a fourth on its own. Maybe it's Kendrick Bourne in a fourth. Maybe it's a sixth, like you said. You never know. But at the very least, Ayuk is talented. There was also a report, and I'm going to try to find it, but I don't know that I'll be able to. That the 49ers, and I also can't speak to how legitimate this was because, as I said, I can't find it right now. I'll try to later. But there was a report that I saw that the Niners would be willing to eat at least a portion of Ayuk's contract. So if that's the case, then maybe it does get bumped up to a fourth round pick or to Kendrick Bourne in a fourth.
yeah. I was more thinking that it was gonna be a pick swap, a late pick swap in Ayuk. So like Ayuk and a six for a seventh. Wait, a six for Ayuk and a seventh or something like that. So a later pick swap. And
Yeah,
again,
but I mean, do you? And this is not necessarily disagreeing with you. I just want to open this up a little bit. You mentioned really the only reason why this hasn't happened yet is they're trying to get better compensation. If it's a sixth for Ayuk and a seventh, like, are they really going to be going back and forth for a while on this? Like, oh, give us this year's seventh instead of next year's seventh, and have like a multi-day long conversation about that. I know I'm not in the building. I know I'm not the one making these trade conversations, but I can't imagine that there's much to debate there, much to go back and forth on if the conversation is a matter of a late day 3 pick swap.
yeah. In 1 second, I'm just following up on this one text I just got. Sorry, really
Yep.
quick.
Now, Ben, I know you're texting, but this is something simple enough that we can also
Yeah.
bring up. When do you expect, if this trade were to happen, when do you expect it to come to fruition? Is this a next 2 days type of thing, or is this going to be after free agency?
I genuinely think this is going to happen before the league tampering period. So
Yeah.
looking back at last year too, I saw that there was a good amount of trades that took place, um, a few days before, like the weekend before the league tampering period opens on Monday. And the thing with trades is, I want to, um, I want to preface this that, and it's not just about trades. It's also about rumors and sources in general. There is always someone trying to get out some side of information. So I'm gonna go
Mhm.
on just a mini rant here. You went on a rant earlier. I'm gonna go on a
Go
mini
ahead.
rant here.
Take
You
your time.
saw Josiah Anderson?
Josina.
Josina. Sorry, I apologize. Anderson. Um um tweet something about Shador Sanders and how he's not getting the correct attention and love he deserves. She's trying to pursue that angle, right? Like that is, and now she posts that, and now Shador's like, oh, this person's awesome. Like they're saying this about me, like, and she's legit. Like I'm gonna go for like. So everyone is always trying to get a specific angle. The person I heard from, is trying to get a specific angle right now. They're trying to let someone else know that like the Patriots don't like the compensation, and I'll be very surprised if another reporter does not tweet out something similar soon, like a big national reporter that the Patriots are trying to,
Well,
acquire this,
we
but
saw
they
it already a little bit. Jordan Schultz
with
came,
Jordan Shorts.
yeah,
Exactly. Yeah,
he
yeah, yeah.
came out of nowhere. And
Out of nowhere.
as I think you're the one who posted this actually. Maybe I'm getting my people mixed up, but I think you're the one who said this. Like these reports
Don't
don't
come out of nowhere.
just randomly come out of
Yeah.
nowhere,
Yeah.
right? There's a reason
Yeah.
behind it. So Schultz had that. There was I believe his name was Caleb Ellis, and who knows the true validity of these posters, but we know Schultz is good. But other than that, Schultz posted his. Caleb Ellis had it. Pat's Pro, who broke news about Josh McDaniels, I think some other coaches as well coming to New England. He had something. He posted something similar. And Ben, now you have it as well. There's a reason that the Patriots or the other team involved or agents or whoever it may be, there's a reason why they want to get this information out. They have a purpose behind it, an ulterior motive. And again, there's a reason why it's happening now, right? That means that something is somewhat close. And whether it's Ayuk or honestly, I couldn't even think of who else it may be, but whoever it is, there's a reason behind these reports coming out.
Yeah. No, completely agree with you. So again, I didn't want to detract from the whole combine talking thing. And I do want to get back to that because you did make some good points. But I want to go with, did the combine, ask you this question, did the combine change your view on what the Patriots should be doing at all? Like, did watching the combine?
I would say it reinforced my opinion because I was under the opinion of if Hunter's not on the board, I'd rather trade down. But Will Campbell isn't a bad option. Mason Graham isn't a bad option. I would say that the combine with the measurements specifically reinforced the idea of trading down. Like I don't think that Will Campbell now is as good of an option as I thought he was 3 days ago. That's not as significantly the case with Mason Graham, but still slightly. I would say I was higher on Mason Graham a week ago than I am today, just because of the weight discrepancy between what he was listed as by Michigan and what he was weighed in at the combine. So did it change my mind? No, because I would say I was already under the idea that I'm not in love with Campbell and I'm not in love with Graham. So it just reinforced it for me. But I mean, Ben, what were you thinking about Campbell and Graham before this week or last week? And what are you thinking now about them?
Yeah, I genuinely thought the Patriots were gonna be in a great position to take Travis Hunter. I really thought that Abdul Carter was gonna go number 1 to Tennessee. I thought that the next 2 quarterbacks off the board to Cleveland and New York were gonna be Shador Sanders and Cam Wood. And that would have left Travis Hunter in the laps of the Patriots. Now, I wish I knew what the Patriots planned to do for him. I wish I knew if they wanted him as a receiver or as a defensive back.
It's got to be receiver. I mean,
Um,
not that he's a bad defensive back. He's great at both, but for the Patriots specifically, it's got to be a receiver.
But I agree with that. I do agree with that sentiment. But so it didn't really change. Like I still think the Patriots are in a good spot to get Travis Hunter, and I mean at the 4th overall pick, like That's not a bad pick by any means. Now, that's barring if they can get a tackle in free agency, if they can fix some of the offensive line in the free agency. But if you can't do that, then you have to go with one of these tackles, and you might have to reach on one of these tackles.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of hype around Membu, who tested incredibly. He's jumped into top 10 conversations, so potentially a trade down and taking Armand Membu out of Missouri. Maybe that helps shore up the offensive line a bit.
Yeah. Well, I also another receiver to throw out. Sorry to keep going back to this. I'm just trying to think of who
Go
else.
ahead.
Cooper Kupp, maybe? Yes? No?
I thought there was some sort of report about the Patriots not being interested, but I may be wrong about that. That just feels. I feel like I saw something about them not being interested, but again, that might be wrong. I'd be. I don't know. I'd be kind of surprised. I would say the wording of these reports have been that it's something more blockbuster and more surprising. Like Ayuk, if you had said 3 days ago that Brandon Ayuk would be traded, people would probably give you some pretty funny looks. If you had said 3 days ago that Cooper Kupp would be traded, people would say, "Yeah, we know. We've known that for a month." So it's certainly possible, but I think that a more substantial trade seems to be more likely.
Yeah, agreed.
I do want to bring this up because you're talking. Oh, you couldn't hear you. I'll keep talking. I can't hear you. I know you mentioned the potential layout of the top 3 in this year's draft, and it seems more and more likely that the Giants are going to end up trading for the number 1 overall pick. Connor Hughes, a very reliable reporter for the New York Giants, reported that that deal is being basically put in place, being built around pick number 3 and 2 third-round picks for number 1 to the Titans. Also, John Vogel, friend of the show, posted. I don't know how true this. He posted it last night. Quote, "I don't know how true this is, but I'm hearing the Giants-Titans deal is about done. If it does get done, expect Titans edge Harold Landry to be moved as part of the deal." So it's starting to seem like the NFL's worst kept secret as of right now is that the Giants are going to have the number 1 overall pick. And I think that really helps the Patriots. Right? If this is a scenario of the Giants getting Cam Ward, it sounds to me, based on reports, that the Browns are taking a quarterback no matter what. So, and it doesn't sound that way with the Giants, though. It doesn't sound like if Shedeur Sanders is the only quarterback on the board at 3, that the Giants would necessarily want him. To me, reading between the lines a little bit, and this is all pretty much all speculation, but it sounds like the Browns would be okay with having Shedeur Sanders. So if the Giants get number 1, that's Cam Ward without a doubt. And then Cleveland at 2 gets Shedeur, then maybe it is Travis Hunter on the board at 4. But I want to bring up this question. Ben, I know before the show I said I'm going to bring up an idea that I don't think you're going to like, and here it is.
Oh boy.
Let's say the package for the Giants is going from, as it's been reported, it's 3 and 2 third-round picks for 1.
Wait. Sorry. Brain not working that fast right now. Okay.
Pick number 3 and 2 third-round picks for pick number 1. That's how it's being reported that it'll likely be. Maybe it ends up being a little bit more because there seems to be a bit of a bidding war between, I think, the Giants and the Raiders. But let's say it ends up being that, right? If you're not certain that one of your guys are going to, let's say if you're not certain Travis Hunter is going to be on the board at 4, do you send 4 and 77 or 4 and 69 for pick number 2 or pick number 3, because I think that the fall off between Travis Hunter and Will Campbell, or Travis Hunter and Mason Graham, is so incredibly significant that the Patriots almost have to make that deal if they don't think Travis Hunter will be there at number 4. It's not that steep of a price, right? In years past, we would see 2 or 3 years worth of first round picks moved for pick number 1. This year, it's 2 years of third round picks. That's chump change. So, would the Patriots be willing to part ways with one of their third round picks and maybe a future fourth or whatever it may be to move up and guarantee themselves Travis Hunter? I think they should at the very least consider it, but I'd be interested to hear what you have to say.
I don't think so. I don't think that is something that I would be interested in. And I wouldn't be interested in it right now, but on draft day, if the board is shaping up to be more of a surprise, say like someone trades up with the Giants, someone trades up with the Tennessee Titans and gets the first overall pick and changes everything, then maybe I'm thinking about making a move like that. But that is something that, like, looking right now, we can talk about it, but it wouldn't make sense now, but it might make sense in a week if a trade happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
let's say we're in a world where the Giants do, or let's say we're in a world where Travis Hunter is expected to go, excuse me, in the top 3. What would you do then?
trade back, probably trade back. If
You
I
wouldn't
do
consider moving up?
no.
Okay. That's all I wanted to know.
No. I don't think so, no. I feel like there's so many better options than to waste more cap to trade up, if that makes sense.
That's
Or-
fair. And
or-
that's yeah. But who's gonna trade up? Like, that's the thing. There's
yeah,
no
you're right. You're right.
maybe you can get a very like small bidding war between the Raiders and the Saints. Maybe. Or like you make an AFC East trade with the Jets, but that would be pretty stupid, giving them their quarterback of choice for what would probably be like a third round pick. Like, it's at that point where I don't know that a trade back is very plausible. The anti-Shador Sanders commentary has been very loud the last few days. Very loud. Very loud. There were Josina Anderson's report that she heavily disagreed with what this coach said, but she reported on a coach essentially saying that he's arrogant and that his team didn't like Shador Sanders' personality. That was from a quarterback's coach of a team picking in the top 7. There was a report, and I don't remember who it was from, so excuse me on that, but I recall seeing a report that it seemed like Shador Sanders was essentially bombing his interviews with teams that he didn't want to go to. Like, the commentary against Shador Sanders has been deafening. So, is a team going to pay a premium to go up from 6 to 4 or from 9 to 4? I don't think you're getting that much. And again, as I've said multiple times throughout today, as of right now, there's not a player I'm comfortable with taking at pick number 4. So, if you don't have an option to trade down, or at least not a good one, and you don't have a particularly good player on the board, I'm moving up at that point. Like, I'm shelling out a third round pick to get Travis Hunter, because I think that the impacts of Travis Hunter are going to be far and away better than the impacts of Will Campbell and whoever you get with that third round pick you're giving up. Keep in mind the Patriots have 2 third round picks this year. So if you give up I think it's 69 and 77. If you give up 69 or if you give up 77, you're still picking in the third round and you still have a premium second round pick.
Absolutely. Yep. See, you came into the show thinking I was going to disagree with you. I agree with that whole thing you just said.
Let's
do.
go. We did it.
Yeah, we finally, maybe everyone's just in a good mood today. But I genuinely do.
We finally got it up on Twitter, by the way.
Oh, we are live on Twitter.
Yes. What a great time.
Hold on, edit. Wait.
I put it up for you as well.
We
got Tully Banta Kane, Patriots legend, in the chat.
Okay.
Saying don't sleep on those 7th rounders. Hey, 7th rounders build out the roster. We know that very well, especially being able to watch Patriots football. I mean, you look at Tom Brady, I know he's a 6th rounder, but late day 3 guy. You look at Julian Edelman, 7th rounder. So Tully, you're absolutely right. Those 7th rounders are important. That's how you build out a roster, and that's how you build out a culture, really.
Absolutely. The draft is built through, now we are live on my end. The draft is built through the later rounds, and what you are seeing with the NIL and more athletes staying another year in college, there is more depth in these draft classes, right?
Yeah.
Tyler Shaw, the quarterback, is 25, and I think he has absolutely skyrocketed his draft class because teams are looking at someone like Bo Nix or Jaden Daniels, who have had an extended, long college career, and look what both of them did. Bo Nix was not a great quarterback at Auburn before he went to Oregon. Jaden Daniels was not that great at ASU before he went to LSU. So I feel like these players are older, but that doesn't necessarily mean that a bad thing for NFL teams. So now that we are both live, we had some technical issues. I'm just gonna swing back and kind of say what I just said. I'm hearing lots of rumors right now that the Patriots are aggressively pursuing a wide receiver. There are reports online that receiver could be Brandon Ayuk. I cannot confirm that is the case. I assume that could be the case, but I just cannot confirm. The Patriots are waiting for better compensation on the return. If it is someone like Brandon Ayuk, expected to be a late round draft pick, like a 5th, maybe a 4th. And if it is a 4th, maybe it would be you're getting Brandon Ayuk and a 7th for a 4th round pick. Something along the lines like that. We've seen that happen with a lot of trades in the past and before. And the trade is not expected to be that blockbuster that the Patriots are giving up their 4th overall pick. That is my 2 cents on all of this happening.
Also,
everyone is hearing.
Expect it sooner rather than later.
Yes, and that's the last thing.
Said.
And the last thing I would say besides that, expect it soon, is that there are so many things going around right now. It's the time of year that not everyone is cross-checking their information, and it is so important to make sure your information that you're getting out is valid information and reliable information. That's what we learned in AP Psych: valid, reliable. But that has to be both, and there are so many different agendas out there, whether that is agents or general managers or players or executives, right? And everyone is kind of wanting to get a different angle out of this whole thing. But that is where I'm at. That's where this talk is at right now. And again, we will see what happens. But thank you everyone who just joined us and tuned in. And Zach, where can we go from here? Go back to the combine talk a little bit, or stay?
We might as well a little bit. It's a little bit awkward because we started the stream out. No joke, Ben, I know you're not able to see the numbers, but for the first 30 minutes of the stream, we had 0 viewers.
That was like
yeah. And now we're up to about 100. So first off, thank you to everybody tuning in right now. We had technical difficulties getting the live stream up. It seemed like Twitter live streams were down for the moment, and it took about 30 minutes for them to get back up. But now again we are back up. Started off talking about a little bit of combine and transition that into the rumors going around. And number 4, a lot of options there. I can go on my 10-minute rant about Will Campbell again, but I don't know that Ben. I don't know that you'd want to have to sit through that one again.
No, not particularly. No.
Yeah.
But you can give us the Spark Notes vision really quick for the viewers here.
Short arms, bad. Historically short wingspan, worse.
You
There
like
you
Kevin
go.
Malone in that Office episodes. Little wood do trick better
Yeah.
than you know.
Whatever it takes. Whatever it
Yeah.
takes.
Yeah, we're just talking about the possibilities and what the combine kind of changed for us of what we want to see the Patriots do at number 4. And I said I still want Travis Hunter. That might anger some of the Patriots fan base. I completely understand. But I personally right now believe that Cam Wood and Sheila Sanders is going to go number 2 and 3, and Abdul Carter is going to go to Tennessee at 1, which leaves Travis Hunter for 4. Now, if a team is in the back of the round, and by the way, really quick, do you know this is the first time since the NFL merger that all 32 teams right now have
Oh
a
yeah. I didn't know it was
first
the
round pick?
first. I didn't know it was the first time since the AFL merger. I knew it was the first time in a while.
Yeah,
It's crazy, by the way.
it
The
is
fact that
nuts. So if one of those teams is like, you know what, like I want Travis Hunter. Like he had a great combine. He had a great pro day. He is in great shape. I want Travis Hunter, and they're willing to give the Patriots a great deal by all means. And that's what I kind of told Zach is it is so hard to talk about the NFL draft because there are so many different possibilities that could happen on draft night that no one could see coming. So all we can do right now is, really give our best opinion.
yeah, we're also talking about the draft right now with the order that it's in, when I think realistically in 3 days the draft order is going to be Giants, Browns, Titans instead of Titans, Browns, Giants. That again, there's been reports from Connor Hughes, from John Vogel, both putting it out there pretty clearly that the Giants are about to get the first overall pick in this year's draft. And then Titans jumping back to 3, they should be penciled in for Abdul Carter. That's kind of what all the rumors have been. That's what all the mock drafts have been doing. It's really interesting though that all 3 teams in the top 3 desperately need a quarterback, and the Giants are the only ones who seem somewhat excited to get a quarterback, right? They're the only ones who are obviously they're moving up, but like the Titans are going out of their way to not get a quarterback. The Browns, I think there have been reports on them wanting to move down. Like they don't particularly want a quarterback at number 2 either, even though I think they'll end up taking one. So that's pretty telling that Cam Ward is essentially the only quarterback worth being excited about. Even if you're a team who has an awful quarterback situation going on right now. Titans have Will Levis. Whoop-de-doo. Like he's bad. That's pretty clear. I think everyone knows that. Deshaun Watson on the Browns. He's also bad. He also probably won't play football this season. Retore his Achilles. And then the Giants, who quite literally don't have a quarterback right now. They have 0 quarterbacks signed on their roster. So 3 teams, 3 desperate needs for quarterbacks, and seemingly only one team who actually wants to get a quarterback in this year's draft class at the top. That's how bad this class is.
Yeah, completely agree. Completely agree. It's not, and maybe it's also because I was telling someone this earlier today. I was telling one of my friends that last year there was so many, I feel like more hype about the draft almost. I almost want to say it was more hyped, and maybe it's just because we haven't got to that point yet. And I don't know if you agree, but maybe again it has to do with the amount of sheer quarterback talent in the first round that kind of elevated everyone else. But I
Yeah,
just feel like
I
last year the draft was a little more like exciting almost.
because it was better. Like
Yeah,
not only at quarterback, right? Okay, you look at quarterback, Cam Ward would probably be QB4 in last year's class, if that.
if that, if
You
that, if
if
that.
that. Look at look at O line, offensive tackle. Will Campbell would probably be offensive tackle 3 in last year's class. Joe Alt goes ahead of him, no question. I think he also goes behind Fashanu. So bad O tackle situation. Receiver, Tet McMillan. If we're, I guess Travis Hunter as well, but I'm just gonna use Tet McMillan because I think most teams see Hunter as a cornerback. Tet McMillan would probably be wide receiver 4, maybe wide receiver 5 in last year's class. MHJ was an exponentially better prospect. Malik Neighbors was a better prospect. Roma Dunze, I would say, was a better prospect. And then if you want to argue Brian Thomas Jr., maybe that's a little bit of hindsight bias. Hindsight is 2020. But I think that there's an argument to be made that Brian Thomas Jr. was also a better prospect than Tet McMillan is. So when you look at the top of this draft class, the premium positions are significantly worse than last year. And I'd say that's why the hype hasn't been around this year's class, because it's a bad class. When you also look at last year, like what gets fans excited? What gets the average fan excited? Offense, touchdowns, scoring points. Last year's draft class was the first 15 players in the draft were all offensive players. This year
Yeah.
that's going to be the case, right? Could potentially be more defense in the top 10 than offense in the top 10. If not, it'll be somewhat even. So the combination of an overall worse draft class plus last year just being a more fun draft class for the average fan, I would say that both of those things play into it.
Yeah, absolutely. And unfortunately, that I'm gonna have to go in about 15 minutes. But again, thank you guys for all tuning in here. We had technical difficulties at the start of the show, and I want to end with a little question for you that might elevate into more of a discussion as we go on, and maybe there's
Yep.
news that breaks in the next couple minutes. Hopefully, maybe I don't know.
That'd be fun.
Would you rather, if you were the Patriots and you have the choice of getting these 4 receivers, I don't want you to just talk. I hate people who just
Mhm.
talk. You know that.
Yep.
I want
Yeah,
you to give just a little analysis. Doesn't got to be long, but just a little analysis that about these 4 players.
Yep.
Okay. Chris Godwin,
Mhm.
DK Metcalf,
Yep.
Brandon Ayuk,
Yep.
T Higgins.
Okay. Do you want me to rank them?
I want you to rank them and rank the going 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st, and then after you rank it, give a little analysis, and then I'll give my analysis about that player, and if I agree with you, and we'll go from there.
I don't know if you're gonna agree with this one.
Ugh.
I'm sorry. 4 for me is probably DK Metcalf. Expensive. He's gonna need a new deal. Trade compensation will probably be somewhat significant, and from what every report in the last few days has been Seattle's not moving DK Metcalf no matter what. So not only do I not think that it is realistic,
Okay, but that's not. I'm not asking you if it's realistic.
Okay, yeah, but still, like a good player. I would definitely want him as a Patriot, but I think that the circumstances regarding the other players would push them above Metcalf for me. It's close though. It's close for me. It's like
More than Chris
on
Godwin?
this
Chris Godwin?
for me on this list. It's 1 and 2 are close, and then there's a gap, and 3
And then
and
3
4 are
and 4.
close.
Okay, look. Right now I'll just give my analysis on the players and then
Mhm.
I'll say quickly how I'd rank them after. If
Yeah.
you saying DK Metcalf is 4, I I'll disagree saying 1, I think he's 27. Oh, he is I don't think. He
Yeah.
is 27 years old.
He might
Um
be.
and that is he can get locked up on a 5-year contract, 4 or 5 year contract, and you're with Drake May through his rookie deal, through even
Yeah.
3 4 years. Like 27, yeah, sure, it's getting up there, but it's not that old. I mean, he is still a playmaker. Last season he was 8 9 yards short of 1,000 yards. The touchdowns weren't there, but that's just because they weren't really targeting him in the red zone. I've always liked part of the reason I disagree too is I've always liked DK Metcalf going back to when he was at Ole Miss. But
I like him too. Don't get me wrong. I do like him, but still.
like last 2 seasons has been his least productive season since 2019, and he's had 66 receptions both years. He's had basically 1,000 yards in both years. And he hasn't been as successful as he was in 2021 and 2022. So I disagree just being he's a two-time pro bowler. Like this is someone who can get on the outside, who can win, who has the yak, who has every possible trait, and can take the pressure and the number one receiver off of someone like Demario Douglas, who can get a
Mhm.
little more open when he's not guarded by the defensive back. And now going to number 3, I think I know where you are going here. Assume Chris Godwin.
We're going Brandon Ayuk in number 3.
Oh my God, I might walk off right now. I
Ben,
actually might. Are you kidding?
I so
Are you joking?
can I give my reasoning as to why it's not Godwin for me first?
Sure. That
I
is.
I think Godwin's a great player. I think Godwin, he's versatile, incredible leader, somebody that Tom Brady raved about, somebody that's I believe a multi-time captain in Tampa Bay, although I might not be fully correct about that. Um that's just a guy that I like, and you don't have to trade for him. And his contract would likely be cheaper than any of the other 3 guys. So, let's say it's a 22 to 25 million dollar per year contract for Chris Godwin. Plus you don't have to trade for him. Plus you know what you're getting. You're getting a leader, you're getting a locker room guy, something that the Patriots so desperately need. They're building a new culture. That's something that you have to put in. You're getting all that. You don't have to trade, and he's cheaper on the salary cap than any of the other guys. So that's why I don't have Chris Godwin at number 3. Um, I do have Brandon Ayuk. The thing that's tough for me with Ayuk is he got that big contract, and then he didn't really look that good last year when he played. A small sample size, but he kind of he fell off a little bit. And that's not something that you'd love to see, right? You're paying the guy 30 million. You don't want to see him completely fall off when that happens. So that's just what I would say. Is I would definitely have Brandon Ayuk as number 3. But Ben, again, I'd be interested to hear what you have to say about that.
Sorry, yeah, I just had to go grab my charger really fast. Yeah. I just disagree just from the being that I trust Brandon Ayuk more than Chris Godwin. I really do. I
I
don't think Chris Godwin.
don't.
I don't think Chris Godwin is good enough to be a wide receiver 1. Well, I know that Brandon Ayuk has been a wide receiver 1. That's the only difference. Like, that's really.
I mean,
Sorry,
I think Godwin was on track for his best his best season of his career last year before he got injured. And that's not some yeah, he got injured, right? That's not good. But
yeah.
still I fully trust Chris Godwin. And if that's where we if we have a discrepancy there, that's okay, right? You can not trust Chris Godwin and I can. But they actually played in the same amount of games last season, Ben. Chris Godwin and Brandon Ayuk played in the same amount of games last season. Chris Godwin, 50 receptions. They played in 7 games. 50 receptions, 576 yards, 5 touchdowns. Brandon Ayuk, 25 receptions, 374 yards, and 0 touchdowns. So worse in every stat, by a pretty significant margin.
Okay. I still like. Okay. Well, I don't want to. That's a good argument. I mean, it's 1 year. I mean, I'm not gonna argue on that. Next show, I'm gonna come up with more background knowledge, evidence. I want to watch some tape on both of them too, on what routes they run and how they get open. And then next time we're definitely gonna have a more in-depth conversation about this. I do want to say too that I don't know how reliable this guy is, but if this ends up happening, I do want to shout him out because I've been there before, and I've been the guy who's wanting shout outs. Or not shout outs, I guess recognition is a better way to put this. But Caleb Ellis has been on this Brandon Ayuk thing. Again, I couldn't confirm if it was Brandon Ayuk or not, but I just wanted to give him his props right now and reiterate for you guys what he is saying. And I'm going to say right now, disclaimer, Boston Sports Entertainment Network and Pat Station Nightly does not confirm this information, and they're just putting it out there. So do not come attack me. I'm just putting it out for you guys. I'm hearing that the Patriots are closing in on a trade to acquire wide receiver Brandon Ayuk from the 49ers. The deal is not finalized yet, but sources have indicated to me that the Patriots have gained some serious ground within the last 48 hours. That was at 3:34 today. And then he posted a series of updates. First update being, I've also heard that there's a strong chance that the 49ers end up paying a portion of Ayuk's salary. The rumored compensation is pick 77, but he later updates that, saying that the 49ers.
But yeah, sorry.
The 49ers. No, you're good. The 49ers want pick 68 instead of 77, and they'd be willing to eat a smaller portion of Ayuk's salary as well as send a 6 back in return. So that is what he is saying. Again, can't confirm that, but just wanted to put that out there for you guys, and we are gonna really leave it like that. Unfortunately, we had a show. We had a long show today.
Well, Ben, real quick, we didn't even finish. We still have our top 2 we got to go through.
I mean, that is just what happens when there's so much happening right now. I got so mad. No, I got so mad at I completely forgot about that. Yes, the number 2.
So real quick, for me, it's almost 1A, 1B. Like, that's how close it is. I would put Chris Godwin at number 2. I think I already outlined all the reasoning there. When you didn't like that when I didn't put him at 3 or at 4. But yeah, for me, like, it's a 1A, 1B between him and T. Higgins, just because I know realism isn't in this exercise, but I think signing Chris Godwin is significantly more realistic than T. Higgins. Trading for him, all of the reports have essentially been that no team believes T. Higgins is available. The compensation there would likely be pick 38 and then some. Plus, you'd have to pay him $30 to $32 million a year. So, but he's the best player on that list by far. So for me, Higgins is 1, Godwin is 2, but the gap is very, very close, razor thin, just because of the how you would have to go about acquiring them. Higgins, a substantial trade package and a massive contract, compared to Godwin with just free agency and a large but not as significant contract.
Yep. And your number 1?
Higgins.
There you go. That's gonna round it up. That is gonna round it up for us today. Again, I apologize, we had a long show, but actually we have 2 minutes. If anyone has any questions really quick while I give my closing spiel, please put it up there. Any questions about anything?
We got one. Ken Matthias in the chat asking, what did you guys think of the NFL Combine as it relates to the Patriots? We went over it, kind of a lot at the beginning, but that's when the live stream wasn't up on Twitter, so we had no one in here. It doesn't look good. I just kind of simply put it like that. The prospects other than Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter don't look like great value for number 4. And it also seems like Shedeur Sanders is not going to I don't know. Like, it seems like Shedeur Sanders is going to have his preference as to what team he gets drafted to. And if that doesn't go his way, he may not be a 3rd round pick. Or if it does go his way and maybe the team he has a preference for is Vegas at number 6, right? Like, if teams are irked off of Shedeur Sanders because of how he's conducted himself in interviews, then that's bad for the Patriots because there's no chance Travis Hunter is on the board at 4.
Yeah, that is gonna
The
sum it up.
Spark Notes version.
There you go. Okay, we'll sum it up with this. If you guys are not following the Pats Nation Nightly Twitter account, you are missing out, because once we get to 200 followers, this thing has been sitting on my desk for the last 6 months.
Collecting dust.
Signed help. Well, I've been cleaning it, so
Oh, sorry.
it's been crystal clear.
I'm sorry.
It is a signed Ramondre Stevenson and Jawan Bentley Patriots mini helmet that will be brought to you, shipped to you, whatever. Once we reach 200 followers, we will be putting out a tweet on how to get that. But first, we have to reach 200 followers. I mean, it's that simple. And then we will be giving out that helmet that's going to be worth, I mean, millions one day now. But
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
actually, it is,
I mean,
it is really cool.
500 people listening right now. If half of them went and followed the account, then we'd be well beyond 200.
Yeah,
so.
and it's in my bio. I'm sure it's in Zach's bio.
It's in my bio.
So just go follow that. And again, we will be live later this week. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Wish it could be longer. Wish we could talk to you longer. Watch out for a potential trade, like I'm saying, and follow me on the Patriots Beat, and listen and read what I have to say on the patriotsbeat.com. And you can find Zach on New England Pats Today on Instagram.
Yep.
And New England Pats Today.
Stay posted for tonight. I have another interview coming out with a prospect. So I had one the other day with Devin Love out of Southern Illinois, and now I'll have one tonight with Nahshon Hezekiah, receiver out of Southern Illinois. So be on the lookout for that.
There you go. And that is going to be it for us today. Signing off. Thank you guys so much for listening.
Have a great night.